Why Spain is two-thirds empty. 10% of Spain's population inhabits 70% of the country. 42% of its towns are at risk of depopulation. But why? In the past 50 years, Spain's rural regions have lost 28% of population. They are now popularly known as La España Vacía, the empty Spain. The company's vast interior is mostly farmland. Depopulation is an acute problem. In Spain's rural areas, 90% of its population, about 42 million, is in 1,500 towns that occupy 30% of the land. The other 10%, 4.6 million people, occupy the remaining 70%. This translates to a population density of barely 14 inhabitants per square kilometer. In some regions, it's even lower. There are several reasons for that. The most obvious one is geography. Spain is a very mountainous country. It has 5 major mountain ranges that put pressure on infrastructure. Another obvious reason is population aging and low birth rates. Spain has some of the lowest birth rates in Europe. Over the last 50 years, they've been nearly halved. That's because the government provides little family support. Obviously, there are few young people in rural areas. As soon as they can, they try to leave for places like Madrid. However, to see the bigger picture, we need to look at history. The Spanish Civil War was devastating, with about 500,000 people dead. Many more fled the country to get away from the fascist regime. But the rural depopulation process started in earnest with major policy changes. In the 1960s, General Franco started rapid industrialization. It led to an economic boom, the Spanish miracle. Large cities experienced speedy growth. They offered jobs and opportunities that were undreamt of before. Coastal Spain benefited from tourism, but many rural regions saw no improvement. They continued to suffer from neglect and lack of infrastructure. There was nothing worth staying for in the villages. As people fled, the rural-urban divide deepened. After Franco died in 1975, many of those who had fled Spain returned. But unsurprisingly, they flooded the large cities and resorts, not the countryside. The consequences of these policies can still be seen today. The rural regions remain underdeveloped, with poor infrastructure and transportation. This makes them unattractive to live in, thus perpetuating the trend. The government has done very little in this regard. The term empty Spain has gained much traction in recent years. In 2021, a political party used it for its name. The party strives to reverse the decade-long policies of neglect, but it may be too late to save rural Spain.